κατευθύνσεις γιατί είναι πολύ σε περίπτωση που κάποια δεν μπορείτε να χρησιμοποιήσετε τον τόπο σας.
It really challenged to take my background in teaching to really push it to the edge, to really question why we're teaching what we're teaching and what is the best method or way of doing that. So my name is Viviano Villarreal-Buerón. I'm from Mexico. I have a practice called Mass Operations, and I'm enrolled here in SCI-Arc at the Design Theory and Pedagogy program. So I'm currently teaching at the UANL in Monterrey, Mexico, which is a public university, and a private institute called SCI-Arc, also at Monterrey, Mexico. So the idea behind the studio was that I found that there was a very bad success rate for small and entrepreneurial offices. I thought that we could take the idea behind the seminar of professional practice and kind of bring that information into a design studio-based class. And we did that through a simulation process of trying to simulate the real-world conditions of starting and maintaining your own architecture office. When a small practice is struggling to get work, what happens is usually that they undercut their value of their work. They probably will overwork their employees, and in the end, the quality of the work suffers. So this is not a problem only for that practice, it's a problem, I think, for the profession wide. So we could improve the numbers of success rates of these small offices by better preparing architects to be leaders of small practices. I think we can improve for the whole profession. How the professional simulation studio was developed was in reaction to the challenge set by the Design Theory and Pedagogy program here at SCI-Arc, where we're asked to design a vertical design studio. And so the idea was not to only pick a topic, but actually was really to, in a new way of form of studio, try to solve a problem that I saw in the architectural world. In that case, it was the idea that we don't get enough preparation or skills in the entrepreneurial side of being an architect as we do get as being an architect or working in someone's office. After the prompt of the program at SCI-Arc of the Design Theory and Pedagogy to either enact your own studio by being your own student of what you proposed, the reaction was that it would be better for my particular studio to teach it. We started with 11 students, and the selection of students was mixed because the studio was open for anybody who was interested in it that was from 4th year or recent grads. So we actually had 4 instructors of the ESADI themselves to take the course, and a couple of recent grads from other universities and 4th year students from other universities and institutes. The studio was based around a competition model, so we did 2 competitions, real-world competitions, but at the same time we had weekly readings and discussions, and also we had seminar-based assignments, and then we had what we had kind of the flash assignments. So we would have field trips to a developer's office where we get a seminar on RFPs and RFQs, and then the students were surprised with a quick assignment that had to do with RFPs and RFQs. And so constantly the schedule for the workshop was set, but at the same time interrupted by unforeseen events like these flash RFPs. The first day of class, I handed out a sheet to all the different students, and I asked them very quickly to sign it back and send it back to me. And that was an NDA that they signed without reading. And so the non-disclosure agreement said they couldn't publish anything regarding to the class unless they tagged our Instagram account. So that was very kind of quick first lesson of saying, never sign anything you haven't read, or at least your lawyer has read for you. So that was a kind of fun first 10 minutes for the first day. And the whole program, the way we set it up is that the students create their own offices and work as an office unit. They come up with their own visual communications, their websites, their logos, their branding, their Instagram accounts. But at a certain point, they're surprised by letters from their business associates in their office that they want to separate. So this is what we call the breakup. And actually the breakup was a kind of very emotionally charged moment, because what I thought was that many students were okay with going then individual, as usually it happens in workshops. You do group site analysis, site model in groups, and then individual proposals. Over here, they got really used to working as an office unit, and they didn't want to really separate. So actually it became really interesting after the whole breakup situation, how the teams came back together in different forms. Well, I think being able to test out ideas is quite important, and to see the kind of live feedback of the students versus the studio as a proposal staying only in paper and never actually happening. Because then you can discuss the studio on its paper merits, but without actually enacting the studio and seeing the feedback from the students and then discussing over that, I think it's a much lower level of discussion versus actually having the studio being done, seeing the work that was produced and evaluating it both from other teachers' perspective and also from the students that participated as well. I think what's unique about the process and how the design theory and pedagogy sets up this part of the program is that discussion between programs and syllabus doesn't really happen from students to professors, I think, or instructors. It's usually something that an instructor develops a syllabus and teaches it, and usually it ends there. Whereas the idea of a student analyzing what's being taught with a critical eye and then coming up with their own syllabus, enacting it, and then receiving feedback from different faculty, instructors, and professors, I think makes a really enriching discussion about how we teach. I think it was a very successful experiment. At some points, like during the breakup, it got a little bit like Stanford prison experiment. It was like there was a lot of psychology behind the devices, behind the money, behind the breakup, behind the idea of the students creating their own office, which is normally something that is not even involved at all when it's a normal design studio. So I think in that sense it was very successful. The feedback initially from the students was very positive. There's interest from different institutions to having this same workshop in their curriculum. So I think that is a testament of probably the necessity of a class or a studio like this. But overall, I think I was very happy with the results. The studios I've taught before were very repetitive in the sense that the methodology was very much set forward. And with the design theory and pedagogy, there was a complete kind of re-looking at the history of how architecture is taught, how architects were educated in the guilds, and then into the academies to today in the universities. So that perspective from all the research that we did during the program and the questioning of how to do things, I think really made my syllabus and the way I teach mature a lot more. The idea is to continue practicing with my studio. It's called Mass Operations, and continue teaching as very complementary side venture to my practice. We have currently 4 projects on site. They're all in Mexico, out of which the kind of most representative one is a headquarter office for a pharmaceutical retailer in Mexico called Farmacias del Ahorro, and that should be finished by May next year, and that's 200,000 square foot project. 90% of the people that have worked in my office with me have been ex-students, so the feeling and the way of teaching in school and the way of also teaching in the office is very similar. I actually can tell no distinction between work in the office and work inside the school. What I can say is that how incredibly unique the EDGE program at SCI-Arc is, especially the design theory and pedagogy. I'm really looking forward to see how it develops, and also seeing how students get to know that there is a whole crafting of syllabus and that there's a whole craft to teaching. And for them, along with us, with ourselves, questioning how we teach and why we teach, them also questioning why are they being taught the way they're being taught, and what are they learning? How can we kind of keep the evolution of the pedagogy of architecture?